Hello, I'm Mark.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Patrick.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about Tesla expanding across the globe. But first, we're going to roll that title card.
You're watching the Tesla Life Express!
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us on the Tesla Life Express. Wanted to talk a little bit about Tesla going into new markets. And just this week, there was an announcement that Tesla has officially opened up offices in the Philippines. And for those who don't know, the Philippines is basically an island nation or a peninsula nation that has about 117 plus million people as of a 2023 census.
Wow.
So a lot more population than I ever expected.
Yeah.
And Tesla has, of course, opened a brand new service center / showroom in one of the downtown cores. And they have also, in conjunction, have launched or started to launch supercharger sites that they're putting in the Philippines as well, which is very common. We saw this in Chile when they rolled out starting sales there. And I've got a little, I think I can share a little map here.
Well, Thailand was a little different. The police got their Model 3Ps before superchargers or service came into play.
So here's the Philippines, and as you can see, it's an island. I thought it might be a peninsula, but it's not connected to this. It's an island.
Okay.
And you can see as we drill down into the center or near the center of the country, in Quezon City. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Makati, maybe. It's they've set up shop in this dense urban area, and you can see the question marks the question marks indicate that they're looking for an appropriate spot to set up a supercharger site. And this yellow triangle indicates that they've actually got this particular site is under construction, and we can actually go take a look at that. So this is in an Uptown Mall that the first construction site is underway to build a supercharger there. And what has it got here? 4 superchargers, 4 V4s. So starting small
in Manila.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's kind of interesting as they start
what
to
plug
grow.
Are they using, Mark, on that site?
What's that?
What plug are they using?
Good question, Casey. I have no idea what the plug is.
Undo closed tab.
That is a good question.
What I'm getting at for those of you
let's zoom out on the map. You can see how close they are to mainland China.
And then Taiwan's just north of there, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is I'm trying to figure out if they're using Type 2 NACS, or I didn't realize, but they are close enough they might be using the GBT. Like Korea and Japan use NACS.
And you can also see that they're in the vicinity of Japan,
Type 1,
and of course Taiwan.
Yep.
Right. You said Japan and South Korea use NACS?
Japan and South Korea, they use NACS for their Teslas, and
interesting.
As we saw with the Sony Honda combo, the Afeela, they're the first outside North America to use NACS. They've fully joined up on the supercharger network and everything.
Do you know about Taiwan, what they're using?
Taiwan and Singapore, I'm not sure if they're using NACS or if they're using Type 2. I guess we could look at their superchargers and see what's on them and know
doesn't
for sure.
Actually say. It says that they're V3 stalls.
Oh, but they might have to be completed before it'll tell you what handle it is.
Right.
Like on their homepage, they'll say CCS2.
Oh, here's a close up, and we can't quite see it.
Oh.
Yeah, the V4 pedestals are
it looks like it's a CCS. It looks rather thick.
Okay.
But that is on an L2.
Well, L2 would just be the top portion, so it'd be about the same size as NAX, because the Type 2 is smaller than the Type 1 that we use here, the J1772, the CCS1, all that jazz.
Yeah.
Well, they're on an island, so they could have their own independent standard. It's hard to drive to the mainland from there.
They're going with Chatamo, Patrick.
They would go with whatever their is logistically sound for Tesla if they don't already have a vehicle standard that they follow. So like Japan uses NEMA, so they have our plugs, they have our Tesla plug. Everything is the same as us, except the voltage is different. You're looking at 100 volts. And the frequency is different depending on which half of the country you're in. You get
right.
Whether it's 50 hertz or 60 hertz, and that wreaks havoc on logistics as well. But that's because one side was aligned with the U.S. and one side was aligned with Britain, and we have different electrical systems. So did they.
Yeah.
So I was just curious what the Philippines has for a plug type, because that is somewhat independent of your electricity.
I know this guy who has MrSupercharger.com. We should ask him.
That's why he's asking the questions.
Yeah, because it was on your screen. So I was like, let's find out.
But it is interesting that they're starting to deploy Model 3s and Model Ys in this particular location. And of course, the population-wise, now, obviously not everyone can afford a Tesla, and of course, once you get outside of the city center, you've got different economics. You've got farming communities and all that same kind of stuff that you have elsewhere. But it certainly setting up in the main urban center is where the main sales are going to be, and indicating that they're strictly selling 3s and Ys to start with. That also tells us a little bit about the economics of that location.
Yeah, because if they were only selling Ys, we'd know they were coming from Berlin. 3s and Ys that close, they're probably coming from Shanghai, unless there's like an animosity like with India, and then they'll be coming from Fremont and Germany.
Yeah,
which is fun.
So it is interesting that it's another nation in the Pacific that they're looking at as an expansion to their basically their ability to sell these cars worldwide, and they are strategically knocking off nations as they go along, and that completely makes sense. That they're looking at population, they're looking at economics, and they're looking at where to set up, and if it makes sense to start building a supercharger network based on, where you could set it up, how much it's going to cost to lease land, or to, get mall owners to agree to put chargers into certain spaces. But we just saw Chile in South America start, and it's very interesting. And actually, what we could do is we could go take a look at the world map, and we can see what areas are still open to them that haven't started yet. So
another cool thing of this is you mentioned that not everybody can afford a full spec 3 or Y. As we come up with the less expensive models, whatever the actual model next is, not the one that we were looking at, the other folks call the name that Elon says won't be. Maybe that little preview we saw in Mexico is a little hint about where things are going to make it more affordable.
And the maps we're using here are at supercharger.info. And if you haven't looked at this, I would suggest you take a look. It's very interesting. Supercharge.info on the web. And you can see a couple of locations in Chile. You can see the Philippines represented here with just a couple of spots as well. And of course, look at New Zealand. They have quite the network already, and of course Australia around the eastern side and southern tip of the country, and over on the West Coast, it looks like they're starting to make their way to connect it to east to west. So what is glaring, of course, which is what we've seen many times before, is India.
Yeah.
We know that India would really like a supercharger network, as well as, of course, a factory to produce the cars in India. And Tesla and India have been battling each other back and forth over subsidies and what makes sense financially. And Tesla's asking for one thing, and India gives them a little bit of it and says, "Well, we're not giving you it all. Let's go this way." And Tesla says, "No, let's modify this." So there's a lot of negotiation still going back and forth.
I wonder if they have any native born and raised negotiators from India in the India situation. I've worked with folks who grew up in India that told me that they learned negotiation pretty young, and I'm curious if they've got all the tools in their quiver here.
Yeah,
because it's been going on a long time. You suspect that something would have happened by now.
Another little pocket of is the Middle East, Israel, and of course over here the UAE is another pocket, and of course a very small pocket over here in Puerto Rico.
Yeah,
a couple of chargers. Now, some glaring areas that besides India, of course, are Brazil, a very large country, Argentina, connected to Chile, land-wise, and South Africa.
All of Africa.
Well, okay, all of
except
Africa.
for the northern Africa, right there.
But what is this? This is Monaco, or is this? Yeah.
They call themselves European sometimes.
So very interesting to see as they start to roll this out. Yeah, Monaco has across from the Strait of Gibraltar from Europe. So, but it is interesting that, and I'm sure that, as mentioned with India, the Tesla's probably got world teams that are looking for the next markets to move into. Just as they've moved into the Philippines recently, I'm sure they've got their eye on things like Brazil and South Africa. Although the
Mark closed the wrong window.
Uh-oh. Did we lose Mark?
No, the geopolitics got to him.
Canada just got annexed. Oh, no.
So you said geopolitics and you disappeared.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah. So there are some geopolitic problems that Tesla has to play by as well. And that, of course, limits where they go and what areas they're choosing to move through. So it's kind of interesting. I'm just a guess, guys, but do you think that the next area, any guesses as to where you think they might go?
I'm
going to say Brazil. Argentina, just because of its connection with Chile. And Argentina has a pretty affluent population. It's spread out geography-wise pretty widely.
Elon's on good terms with their
but it's a country that has the rule of law as the G7 do. So I think that might be a win for them. But again, that's just a guess. It will be interesting to see what nations they check off as time goes along.
I'm curious for the next phase as the cheaper ones come out. Like, how does that change their calculations?
Yeah.
Like when you see a Mercedes in Germany, it's not anything special. It's a taxi. So, what does this do with the local Teslas? As he said, we need one on every continent. So, where does the African Gigafactory go, and what is it going to make? Same for, we've got 1.5 in Asia with Shanghai, going to be 2 soon, and then a semi-factory. But we're only at 4? Because you got Gig of 1, Gig in New York, which doesn't make cars. Texas, so that's 2 for North America, 2.5. Then you've got Shanghai and Germany. So there's a lot of room for some more. South America, Africa.
Yep.
another one somewhere in between Europe and Asia, perhaps. This will be fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there is the issue of Elon saying that to build a cheaper car, a $25,000 car, for example, is going to be counterintuitive to what the world's going to be wanting next.
That's a good point. That might be true in the U.S. Is it true elsewhere?
Is it true elsewhere?
And is elsewhere ready for FSD for the robotaxis?
Exactly. So there is a market for a more affordable vehicle that is human driven.
I've always said that there is a market even in North America for that. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I get you know, maybe you're pushing towards a certain thing because you believe that's where the ball will be eventually.
Right.
But man, like opening it up by reducing the cost by another $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000, you'll be able to print money. Like just the amount of vehicles that you could sell. And maybe Tesla doesn't want to do that because maybe they realize that they can't produce the batteries quick enough for a vehicle that's more popular than, say, the Y. It would be maybe that's part of their reasoning, is that we need to be on guard as to what the supply is in reality today and how fast we think it can grow, with maybe the plans of their 4680 that has been delayed over time.
I think that's
maybe
really
there is some thought that, you know what, we've got to get the batteries down a little bit better in order to start producing 20 million cars. We're only producing 2 million plus today. There's no way we can go up a magnitude and still produce the batteries. Maybe that's part of the reasoning.
But also, as you get to some of these new markets, the distance required sometimes will go down depending on what we're talking about. You're only gonna have so many paved roads in some of these places. I'm not saying the places that they're targeting now, but some places, like if you want to get global coverage, they may look at parts of Russia outside the city. Their roads are not always good, and is FSD ready for on-road, off-road? And then look at some poorer nations that are ready to buy cars and just don't have the infrastructure for it.
Exactly.
They would love a good car that can go 50, 100, 150 miles. They don't necessarily need 400. But they would be glad to do it by hand.
Well, as Casey's co-host goes into meltdown mode, I think we will call it a show and move on. Patrick, any shout-outs for the end of the show?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net. Check it out. Thanks, because I write about my future free from fossil fuels. I got to get that in.
Got it in. Casey.
Well, catch us on Sunday at youtube.com/Casey Green, where we will have let's chat with Casey and friends, and then come back again on Monday for the Tesla Life Express Edition 2. I'll get this down. We're going to call it something special. Anyway, and then on Wednesday, we'll see you here for the live show.
Very good. We thank Lee Moon for the music we use every week. And with that, we will bid you adieu and get together next time and find out what's happening in the Tesla Life.